Hello again. We're looking at unemployment today. This is day 5 of Unit 4. The due now on pages 10 and 11 give you an opportunity to read about unemployment from the perspective of a worker and a small business owner, and then think about those two scenarios as we go through the exercises today. We'll look at 4 different types of unemployment, then we'll calculate unemployment. We'll save the limitations for next class, and then your homework will be the unemployment practice worksheet, pages 14 and 15 in the unit packet. So our big question for today, what can the unemployment rate tell us about the health of the economy? We're going to differentiate among the 4 types of unemployment in real-world situations, then calculate the unemployment rate when given a particular data set. Ties into our second standard on unemployment. We'll have our 3.0 assessment on Thursday, April 11th. Nice job to everybody that took the test on Friday. Had a very high pass rate, which was excellent. The key terms, you read about all of these in your text last week, and ignore the key terms, that doesn't apply here. We'll sort through these today and on Wednesday. So keeping the big picture in mind, where are we coming from? We use these different economic indicators to see how healthy the economy is. We've looked at GDP. We know that we want to be around 2 to 3%. Now we're going to look at unemployment rate, see how we calculate it, and identify what a healthy rate is. So 4 types of unemployment. The cyclical, this is related to business cycles. It occurs during recession, so when the economy is not doing well and a business is not doing well, they're going to lay people off. Structural is when a person's skills don't match up to the job requirements anymore, so think of structural skills SS. Frictional is related to personal freedom. Freedom, it's when you make the choice to move to another job, to leave one and go to another one. When you graduate from college, you are going to be frictionally unemployed as you look for your first job. So frictional freedom, structural skills, and cyclical is just a business cycle, the natural ups and downs of any business. And lastly is seasonal, and that one's easy to remember because it's based on different times of the year. Here in Minnesota, we have a lot of seasonal workers, determining whether it's winter or summer. So we're going to differentiate among all 4 of these. Now on pages 12 and 13 in your packet, you had some practice with unemployment, and you're identifying whether they are, which of those different examples are. If you would like to go over that with me, come see me, or find a classmate who has that, and you'll get some good practice with that. So moving on then, how do we measure unemployment? Well, we want to find the percent of the labor force that is unemployed, that's not working. And so we have this unemployment formula, number unemployed divided by our labor force times 100 to turn it into a percent. And those numbers mean these terms mean something very specific. Unemployed refers to people that are looking for jobs. So you had to have been looking for work within the past month. Your labor force is going to be a combination of people that are over 16 with a job. This can be a full-time job or part-time job. So we would say that these people are employed plus the people that are looking for jobs. The people looking for a job, as we already said, are the people that are unemployed. So a simple way of thinking about the labor force is people working plus people wanting to work. When you know those definitions, you're going to have no problem doing the calculations. So one more way to, to look at this is if we have an adult population of 251 million people, you're going to have a segment of the population that's not in the labor force. People that are incarcerated, people that are retired, people that are simply for whatever reason choosing not to work, they are not in the labor force. Then we have a small percentage of people that are unemployed. They're looking for jobs within the past month. And then you have your people that are employed. That, of course, will be the largest portion of our population. And when we add together the employed plus your unemployed, that's going to give us the labor force. And now we can calculate unemployment. We have our formula, and then we simply plug in the numbers. 8 unemployed divided by the labor force. Your labor force is the employed plus the unemployed. So that's 157. 8 divided by 157 times 100, and we always round to the first decimal, just like with GDP growth, and we get 5.1%. So now some examples for you to do on your own. I recommend pausing the video, working the problem out, and then resuming and seeing if you got it right. Okay, let's take a look at it. We have our formula. We plug in our numbers. We have 9.5 unemployed divided by our labor force. The information is given to us as 126. That one's easy. We should get 7.5%. Make sure you're getting this correct decimal, that you're rounding it accurately. Next one, pause the video and try it on your own. All right, how'd you do? We take our formula, plug in our numbers, we get 6 unemployed. And this one, there's an extra step. We have 104 million employed, so we have to add to that the people that are unemployed to get our labor force. 6 divided by 110 times 100, we get 5.5%. And one more problem. Pause the video, work this one out on your own. All right, so we have our formula, and we plug in our numbers. We get 7.5 people unemployed. And then again, we have to add to that our people that are employed to get our labor force, and we multiply by 100, and we get 5.8%. So what does this number mean? Well, to interpret that number, we have to look at the natural rate of unemployment. Natural rate of unemployment gives us what we call full employment. It's not going to be zero. We don't want unemployment to be at zero. What we do want is to use all of our labor resources efficiently. We want to be on the PPC. We want to be on the line of point of efficiency on the PPC. We want to be pushing that curve all the way out. We don't want to be inside of it. And so we want everybody who wants a job, we want them to have a job. We don't have cyclical unemployment. We will have frictional. We will have people changing jobs on their own. We will have structural, because businesses or people are aligning themselves with jobs that match their skill set. We don't want people working in a job for which their skills don't match, because that's not efficient. So we're going to have structural and frictional unemployment, and of course seasonal, we're never going to get rid of. And so the target range is between 4 and 6%. Now this range, economists will disagree and argue about it, especially right now because we are under 4%. We're at 3.8% as of March 2019. But economists will say that, well, we're not yet at full employment. It can go a little bit lower. So they're looking at a lot more data, have a lot more expertise. For right now, our purposes, we're going to stick with this. In general, 4 to 6% is where we want to be for full employment as the natural rate of unemployment. And so if you go to page 13 in your unit packet, I've given you some data from 2007 to 2017. And then this is the unemployment rate in March for that year. And then compare that to the natural rate of unemployment, that 4 to 6% range. Identify it as healthy, low, or high when compared to the NRU. So pause the video and let you do that. All right, let's take a look at those together. So obviously 4.4% back in 2007, that's really good. So was 2008. But then something happened. The Great Recession occurred, and our unemployment rate went way up. Okay? Then it gradually went down. And then finally in 2015, 2016, we went below 6% and we started seeing a healthy economy again. And right now, it's, as we said, it's below 4%, but economists would still say that it is healthy right now. So understand the 4 to 6% range, and we'll talk more about the limitations of that number and the way that we calculate unemployment in our next class. So looking at the big picture, where have we been within that 4 to 6% range going back to 1990? We've been roughly between 4 and 6% for most of the time. A couple of times unemployment rose a little bit. That was a result of a recession. And of course, this is the Great Recession that we were just looking at. And since then, we've gone below that 4% to about 3.8% right now. So we'll have cyclical unemployment when we're in that recession. Okay? And when GDP is low, it's going to be during these recessions as well, when the economy is simply not producing as much. Companies are laying people off. They're not making things. And people aren't buying things during a recession. And so we'll have low GDP during these periods as well. Then GDP will increase as unemployment drops. So they move in opposite directions. All right, take a look at, do some practice with unemployment on pages 14 and 15 in your unit packet. Remember, your assessment will be on Thursday. As always, see me with any questions. Good luck.